Hey, today we're going to talk about the new DJI Mavic Pro. So here it is, and I want to talk about some basic things about the proper way to get this started and how to use it in a very, very basic way. I want to make sure that everyone that watches this understands this is kind of a general rule of thumb with most quadcopters, and not just this one. So here we are unfolding the DJI Mavic Pro, and I do want to say that I've flown this a few times. It flies very, very well. One thing that I think a lot of people are forgetting is that this has the ability to focus when you touch the screen of your phone or your device, and that's something that you need to be aware of, is that you do have to do a center focus in order to make sure that all your pictures are nice and sharp and clean. Okay, so here we have it, and let me scoot these things out of the way a little bit. We're out here in one of the shipping bays because it's freezing outside. It is it's not as cold as it has been. I think the wind chill makes it feel like it's around 2 degrees, but it's a little bit uncomfortable to fly outside. So anyway, okay, so we have that, and we'll get the phone plugged in. I'm using a case on my phone, so I have to remove the little jack to plug in my phone first. I'm leaving it in the case, so I can actually plug it in first, and then it will grip in the grippers. Not fully seated, but it grips enough. Okay. All right. First thing I want to talk about is when you get this thing out of the box, you do need to read the instructions a little bit. There's a way DJI likes to turn things on. It's kind of a dual button push. You push quickly and then you hold down. That turns the system on, which is what's happening here. It says it's trying to connect. I don't have this on yet. I'm going to go to my app. And here we go. Okay, now I'll turn on the drone itself. So single push, and then a long push. And you just watch the lights trail up, and you can see that that's turning on. The controller says it's connecting. There we go. Now it says it wants to calibrate, or actually it says Calibrate Error. This is something that's important. Now the reason that it's showing this, it's showing Calibrate Error because it's very sensitive to metal. It wants to be able to see. It wants to be able to see its compass, and its compass, meaning north, south, east, and west. So there are some times where you might be near metal outside. There might be metal in the ground, or there might be a metal fence, and you'll have this happen. You'll have this to where it says that you can't fly, and it wants you to calibrate. Well, you have to move away from that metal object. We're in an awful lot of metal here. We have metal everywhere. We have metal reinforcement in the concrete. The whole building shell is metal. So that's a very important thing, but that's something that you have to do when you take this out of the box. When you first take this out of the box, you do need to do that, and I'm going to back up here just a second. You need to do firmware updates. Firmware updates are very important with this machine. I've noticed today is I think it's the 5th of January. Yes, it is. And when I got this around just roughly a week before Christmas, somewhere around that time frame. And at that time when it came in, I had maybe 3 or 4 firmware updates. I don't remember. After Christmas, there was at least one major firmware update. So that's something that you really need to do. I think a lot of people are missing out on that. I think they're so excited to fly that they go right out. They don't do the firmware updates. And I also believe that they're not doing the compass calibration because they just want to go fly. Well, those are some things that can get you in serious problems. There have been some flyaways. There have been some situations where for some reason the radio lost connection with the machine, and there were flyaways because the machine didn't know which way it was pointing. It needs to know. That compass needs to be calibrated in order for it to function correctly. Obviously, after that, when all the firmware updates have been done and you're ready to go and you've done your compass calibration, let it get GPS. It's got to get GPS lock. And okay, I'm at the main screen and it's telling me compass error. It says move the aircraft. Now I've already compass calibrated it, but it says move the aircraft or do a compass calibration. That's because of all of the metal in this area. And I don't know if I'll be able, okay, here we go, right here. I just had to move it off of that table. It says ready to go with vision system because it can't get GPS in this building. Okay, so we're in the optical mode. Now I want to show you something really quick on the system here. If you go in this upper left region where it's yellow, if you were outside it would be green because you would have GPS lock. But if I touch on that, it goes to the aircraft status screen. Now this is where you can calibrate the compass. It tells you the overall status of the machine. It also allows you to make some changes to a few things here, but it allows you to check for the firmware, what firmware version you're on, and if you need to update the firmware, it allows you to do that. So everything is good except for the GPS now, because we're in the metal building, we can't get GPS, but we are on its vision system. So we'll go ahead and we'll see if this will fire up. It's detected an obstacle. We'll see if it'll let us take off. It says there's an obstacle about 6 feet away, which is probably a container over here. There we go. Okay. So here's an example of this. This machine is using its cameras to determine its location and stay put. It's very stable. And again, don't forget we have to do the autofocus. So just tap where you want it to autofocus. It's a nice feature, this tap to focus. There are people that are complaining about that, but the thing that's nice about that is if you have something in view, maybe you want to focus way over to something on the right, or maybe something way over on the left, or in the foreground or the background, you can do that and still have the point of view that you're looking for. So I like that feature. It's just that we have to get used to, touching on where we want to focus. So I'll try to focus on something way back there, and it does a fine job. So just something that we have to remember. There's an example of the stability of the machine. is almost rock solid because it's viewing with its cameras, it's viewing the ground, and it can see the pattern in the ground, and it can determine that, okay, it needs to keep that pattern stationary, so it determines how much thrust it needs on each motor to stay stationary until we give it a command from the controller. This is very nice. It allows us to fly inside with very, very good accuracy, not having to worry about the GPS. So that's a great feature. Okay, to land what we had to do was you hold the stick down, gently hold it down. You'll see the machine slowly come down to a couple feet off the ground, but continue holding the stick down. It'll only take a couple seconds, and then it will then slowly descend, land, and shut the motors off. So that's something that has confused some people as well, is just be patient. It only takes a couple seconds at most. Hold the stick down, and it will gently, eventually then go down, very nice landing, and shut the motors off. So again, I want to reiterate some of the most important things here are doing those firmware updates. They're very important. Just keep an eye on that. It's very easy to do. Like I said, you can just tap on that top left part of the screen, and you can check for firmware updates. You can look at the status of your controller, of your batteries. You can look at the radio quality. You can look at the gimbal status. You can format your memory card. So there are nice things that you can do there immediately just by touching that upper left-hand part of the screen. Obviously, you've got more controls if you touch the upper right. It gets you into every feature that this system offers. Okay, so there's that. Do your firmware updates. Do the compass calibration in a clean environment. You need to be away from metal objects, otherwise the compass won't read true. Any large metal building or a metal fence, even near your car, that will throw off the compass calibration. So just be aware of that. Get out in a little bit of a clean environment. The machine will tell you if it's in a clean environment or not. So that's really not too bad. And then when you're ready to fly, let the GPS lock onto the satellites. It doesn't take very long. It depends on where you are. It could be 10 or 15 seconds, and you've got total lock on all the satellites. So that's a good way to go. So there you have a little bit more information on the DJI Mavic Pro. So far, this has proven to be a good machine. I've not flown it a lot yet, and that's simply because it's cold, very cold and windy outside. But the little that I have flown it, it's done very, very well. The video quality is very, very good. I think this is going to be a really wonderful machine. A lot of people are going to. Well, a lot of people are. That's why they're out of stock everywhere. But it'll start showing up very soon. And I do recommend it. But read the manual. Find these YouTube videos like this one and learn a little bit more before you just go out and fly. You're going to enjoy it a lot more if you learn a little bit more information about this system. You'll have a lot more fun with it. And also remember, use common sense. Don't fly around a lot of people. Don't be in a situation where you're going to cause maybe some problems. Otherwise, fly safe, have a good time, and I hope everyone enjoys this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.